So you're interested in buying a house, but you think your credit sucks and you're not ready? In today's video, we're gonna talk about the 5 things you can do to improve your credit to help you qualify for a house. And here's a secret, you might be closer than you think. Let's get into this. Welcome back. Number 1 is actually take the debt you have on your credit cards and pay it down. Now, I know that's super simple. Okay, pay off my debt. If I could do that, I'd qualify for whatever. That's true, but it's how you pay it down. Some people think paying down the largest amounts of money is going to increase the credit score the fastest, and that's not true. What actually you want to do is look at the limit on the card, what percentage of that limit you're using, and pay it below 30%. So for example, if you owe $5,000 on a credit card that has a $10,000 limit, and then you owe $500 on a card that has a $600 limit, paying down on the $500 will actually improve your credit score faster than paying down on the $5,000. Seems counterintuitive, but the way they're measuring it is percentage of use, and you get the biggest bang for your buck in score from simply paying down below 30% of the available credit that's there. So number 2 is have more than one trade line open. If you only have a single trade line, this makes it very difficult to get your credit score where you want it to be. Number 3 is age of the trade line. And if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I'm gonna give you a hack on that. We'll call it a time machine, how you can beat time and actually have the age of the line open. So what do I mean by age of the line? Well, when you open a credit line, the longer it has a history, especially a good history, the more they take into account and it benefits your actual credit score. Number 4, the dreaded collections. If you have a collection debt, especially if it's an older collection debt, for example, a medical debt or something that has been charged off and has been sitting for a while that has been haunting your credit, before you grab money and throw it at that, you're going to want to call us so that we can actually take a look at the specific situation. Depending on the situation, how and when you pay those old collections off can negatively affect you. For example, if it's an old charged off trade line that's been sitting there, sure, it's having a negative effect on you, but if you all of a sudden negotiate a payment plan and start paying on it, now it's a current charged off trade line and your score will actually drop. So before you do anything with that, contact us and we can walk you through, look at your specific situation and see if we can attack it in such a way that it actually benefits your credit score and doesn't hurt it. Number 5 is managing your debt to income ratio. So when it comes down to debt to income ratio is not really about the quantity of debt you have, but the minimum payments that are required to service that debt. That ratio against what your gross income is how they will calculate for you to qualify. So if you have a desire to qualify for a $500,000 house, it's important that we take a look at your gross income and that we strategically restructure your debt to make sure your debt to income ratio is low enough. Now here's one of those cool tips that you can do that. For example, if there are 2 of you, one of you has more income and better credit and can qualify for the house that you want by yourself. Let's just say it's a $500,000 house. However, you're not quite qualified because your debt to income is really high. Simply by getting the loan for the car, let's just say its payment's $500 a month, into the name of the other party and out of your name, will actually free up $500 a month in purchase power for that $500,000 house. Still have the same car, still have the same debt if you're sharing that debt load in the household, but this allows you to restructure it in such a way where you can actually still afford the same house without changing the financial dynamics whatsoever. Now for that bonus. How do you build a time machine around trade lines? This is a trick I use with my kids. Now, it requires you to have a relationship with somebody who likes you enough to do this, but what we did with our kids is at the age of 16 and some of them at 17, we added them to one of our oldest trade lines as an authorized user. right? So this means that they get added on there as the ability to have a credit card in their own name on our credit line. Those credit lines had large available credit. They had large available credit that could be pulled, but the balances were at zero. They also had a long history of being open for about a decade. As soon as we put them on there, this actually helped generate a 16-year-old a credit score that came up at 750 as their credit score, simply by being added to this trade line. Now, the tips and tricks on this is you're like, man, I don't want to give my kid a credit card like this. Don't give them the card. I never gave any of my kids the cards that were on the trade line for them to go run up any debt on it. We simply added them to it. The Bureau issued a credit score, and that gave us the ability at the age of 18 for them to be able to buy their own house because they had a credit score as long as they had a cosigner to deal with the debt to income ratio. So that's your bonus content. If you want to beat time, have a parent, a loved one, somebody with a long-term credit history add you as an authorized user and not give you the card. That is one way you can generate a higher credit score in less than 3 months. If you want more content like this, please go ahead and subscribe below, and we'll see you next time.